Welcome to the Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. Every week, we're going to bring you powerful stories and strategies from leaders who are making a real impact by building stronger, more resilient communities. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools to thrive in both your personal and professional life.
Hi, everybody. This is Beth Almaris with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing. The Foundation is a nonprofit that's really dedicated to helping individuals and organizations build resilience through strength-based education and leadership development. We have a really fun guest today. I'm excited to introduce Cerys Goodall. She's a twofer. She's the COO at Vetster and the founder and principal at The Goods. How you doing today, Cerys?
Oh, so great. So happy to be here.
Yeah, so happy to have you. So why don't you give us a snapshot of your two organizations?
Yeah, thank you so much. We were just chatting about our love for cats. So I'll start with Vetster. I am the operating officer at Vetster. I joined about 4 years ago, and we provide pet telemedicine. So for anyone, so speak to a vet on the phone, get your prescriptions delivered straight to your door, because we all know your dog isn't going to eat the sock when the clinic hours are open, or your cat's not going to cough up that hairball at a convenient time. It's going to happen, anytime, 24/7, and you need access to expert care. And so our platform works across North America, connecting people with thousands of vets of their choice to make it super simple to take care of their pets. And then The Goods is something I created about 10 years ago, where I really help small businesses, entrepreneurs, and tech founders to get things going. When you start a business, you're starting it usually because you have a passion for your product or your service. You're not creating it to then go do accounting and build a website and think about sales and all of the other good things. And so I love to work with founders and sort of help them get started and accelerate their plans.
That's fantastic. And how many folks are at both organizations?
So at Vetster, we're near 70 now. Incredible, all based in Toronto, Canada. And at The Goods, we've got about 20 consultants that we sort of bring in and fix into a puzzle that makes sense for our clients.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. So, so you're taking care of lots of different, you have lots of irons in the fire. What are some of the things you do to kind of take care of yourself? How do you juggle it all? Yeah, because, we're all about wellness and emotional well-being. So how do you take care of yourself and all of that?
Which was why I was so excited to talk to you, because I think, it really is about finding ideas and things that resonate with you. There's no one solution fits all. And it changes. It can change on a daily, weekly, or yearly basis. And where you were maybe a year ago, where you had lots of energy to give to a job and be super passionate about it, that may change over time. And I think we put so much pressure on ourselves and have some disappointment if we're not at 1,000% all the time.
Right. Which is not sustainable for anyone.
Not sustainable, but we're fed this information from media, social media, as well as just the business community in general, that everything is perfect and you're always crushing your goals.
That's the culture.
Right. It is the culture. And what I've realized now is that even how I take care of myself needs to change. And so whether that some years is having goals in the gym and being really focused on my fitness, or other years and times of my life, it has been, that's actually not what I need right now. I need rest. I need nature. I need more family and friends, and really being dialed into what my mind needs first, then my body, sleep, of course. And so right now, I've actually bought myself a bicycle. I haven't owned one in about 10 years. So I decided I needed to be outdoors more than I was, getting some good sunshine here in Toronto, which, as everyone knows, we only get a few months out of the year before winter sets in again. And so really being flexible with that and having good boundaries, but also letting it adapt and change.
That's great. And what about as an organization? Vetster is a bit bigger. What are some of the things that you guys look at for staff in terms of kind of emotional well-being?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing we do for emotional well-being, believe it or not, is financial. And so there's
Hmm.
nothing better than for emotional well-being than taking care of your people through finances. And so when I joined the company in the very early days, one of the things that we worked on was making sure that no matter who you were, no matter what role that you had a living wage. We're in Toronto. Toronto's a very expensive city. And so we made sure that whether you came in as a coordinator or somebody without experience, even our baseline salaries were going to be well above the living wage. Also, so that anyone wouldn't be stressed if they were in a situation that they needed to get out of. Maybe it's a relationship that's ending, or you're moving out, from your first home with a roommate. We wanted to make sure that people had that flexibility, especially women. We also pay in the top percentile of the industry and make sure that our health benefits, our insurance, all of our programs are really top class. If you can't do those basic things, it's really hard to ask your people to be able to navigate any other kind of stress in the
Hmm.
business, when there's a recession, when maybe sales aren't coming in as much as you thought, or asking them to develop as professionals. If they can't say, I can pay my bills on time and I'm going to be okay, you can't ask them for anything else. So that was the first thing that we did, and I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Especially as an American hearing that.
The thing that's interesting about it is it's not hard. We're a small business, we're venture backed. We didn't have a lot of money, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. It just means you have to be really thoughtful about what you're doing.
Mhm.
Can you give people long weekends in the summer? Can you make sure that they aren't overextended? Can you be compassionate with them when they have things going on in their personal lives? All of those things are free. And so, how can you build that in? How can you build that into your culture? I'm really proud that we did that. When it comes to navigating those sort of bigger picture things right now, in Canada, of course, the conversation with Canada and the US is tariffs. That's introducing a level of stress because it's going to increase our costs of goods. A couple of years ago, we had a recession and we were dealing with all of that. And when we got started in the business, it was the pandemic. So we've really had a lot of stress placed on our team and on the business itself. And we've had to ask them to rise up. We've asked them to have to, sort of that quote from The Devil's Wears Prada, gird your loins and like let them go. And the way that you do that is you focus on your values and you focus on your team. And for us, we're very lucky to have a mission-driven business. We care
Mhm.
about people, we care about their pets, and we care about the veterinarians who are mostly women who are serving them.
Mm.
It doesn't take a lot to show up for that. And sometimes resiliency requires you to be working for a purpose that's bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
It lets you tie into something that gives you aspiration, that lets you take yourself out of the minutia of your own day. It lets you give a little bit more gratitude to the work that you're doing. You might be thinking, I don't want to write this email campaign today, or, ugh, I have to fix another bug in our product, or I don't want to do invoicing. But when you know that it's all laddering up to the greater good of taking care of animals, it's very easy to do that and to be able to navigate some of those more challenging times.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being mission driven is so important, but I've been in the nonprofit space for a zillion years.
Mhm.
So,
You're
yeah.
lucky. You're lucky. I think a lot of people don't get that. They don't get this opportunity to think bigger than themselves. I was really lucky. I worked with on a NASA program in
Mm.
2005, the Discovery Return to Flight, and I was a peon. I was doing communications off in a far corner of the mission. But what it really allowed me to do was understand that when you think and dream bigger than yourself, one, it allows you and challenges you to be excellent. But two, it really takes away some of the noise of the petty things or the little tiny obstacles in your day. You really do align, you galvanize around things as a team. You really are focused on something that is purposeful. And so you know that very well. And I really wish it's such a gift to have in your life to even have that once, that experience. And I wish more people could have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if they're not getting it at their workplaces, maybe through volunteer or community service, like I think there's a lot of ways to be a part of solutions, right?
Absolutely. Giving back is one of the best things you could ever do for yourself. If you can find that thing, it'll give you 10x what you could ever put into it. I volunteer with entrepreneurs facing addiction and mental health challenges. We provide micro loans and mentorship. And I can tell you, far and away, I get more back, through my own learning, challenging assumptions, seeing how it affects community than the few hours a month that I put into it. It really is a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you see your industry going in the next few years? I mean, it's a very interesting time in the work sphere right now.
It really is. I think in the veterinary health space in particular, when we're thinking about our pets, everyone went and adopted a pet during COVID. They finally had time. They were at home. They could walk their dog. They could get a couple more cats, as you and I were chatting about. There was a lot of need. And the veterinary industry in and of itself is about 80% driven by women. You're talking about a community of professionals who are also entering a stage of life where they are caregivers. They are looking after children, their household. They're also starting to look after their aging parents. There's a huge emotional load that comes with this, as well on top of being entrepreneurs, running a small business, working with their staff, and dealing with the cognitive and emotional load of caring for animals.
Right.
So telehealth has come in at a really amazing time. One, because we needed it during the pandemic, but two, that as we go forward, it offers flexibility. And so what I think we're going to see in total pet care transformation is we're going to see consumers take a much more active role in caring for their animals because information and tools are going to be more accessible to them. But at the same time, I think we're going to see a real change in how veterinarians are operating their clinics and how they're thinking about care. And they're going to be using more tools, and you're going to see a more modern experience enter into that care space as well.
That's really interesting because I think I mentioned I'm a shelter volunteer, and we shelter vets. They deal in volume, right? Like it's volume, and it's a lot of emergency, and so it's really curious. And I don't know if in Canada this happened, but after the pandemic and everyone returned to work, we unfortunately had the shelter system get bogged down with a lot of those kind of COVID puppies.
Yes. Yeah, that happened here in Canada too. I think not as quite as severely, thankfully. We work with the Ontario SPCA here, and we have a partnership with them. And so a lot of what we're doing is making sure that people have veterinary care, which is one of the barriers. One of the reasons people are rehoming pets is when they think that they can't afford to take care of them.
That is a huge issue here, is the cost of vet care.
That's right. Yes, and it is expensive,
Absolutely. And as things go up and their insurance goes up, like it's a really, like with any issue, right? There's a lot of levers. There's a lot of angles on it. So, but I think having that telemed could alleviate some of that and hopefully be cost savings. Even like I live in a city where a lot of people don't have vehicles, right? So even getting an animal to a vet can cost $40, $50 round trip if you're, taking a pet friendly Uber or whatever the case may be. So
you're so right. And you think about people who work from home, who maybe have some kind of mobility issue,
right,
or of disadvantage. Certainly finances is one of them. Now, telehealth is never going to replace the need for hands-on pet care. But there are many things, which is we call it the itchy, scratchy, smelly. If it's itchy, scratchy, smelly, it's probably a great use for telemedicine. But also hey, something's going on with my animal. I don't know what it is. Most people will delay care up to a month before they'll seek in-person treatment, get on the phone, talk to a veterinarian.
Yeah.
All of that makes a lot of sense. The other thing that we've done is we've actually brought it into the employer space through Vetster for Work. And so this is a service that any employer can offer their employees. It's very affordable. We make it very easy, very fast to implement for teams. And so, maybe this is something that a lot of employers are now looking at to differentiate their benefits.
That's really interesting. I mean, I do see a lot of companies offering discounted pet insurance. So
Yes.
for their staff. So that's really interesting.
It's a fascinating trend.
Yeah.
What
a great conversation. Thank you so much, Cerys. If folks are interested in learning more, where can they get connected?
They can head to vetster.com, and I would love to connect with people on LinkedIn as well.
On LinkedIn. Great. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all our listeners. Take good care.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us today on our Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. We hope you've been inspired by today's stories and strategies for building stronger, more resilient communities. Remember, resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about growing through every challenge to become bigger and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody who could benefit from these insights. Stay connected, stay resilient, and we'll see you next time.